Hello, 大家好, and apa khabar semua? As usual, my name is Kelvin, and you're now tuning in to the Epic Arcade Mini, a show where we bring you all things gaming this week in gaming. And on the lineup this week, we'll be talking about the Red Dead Redemption Online standalone game, the Marvel Avengers, Capcom latest movie update thingy, and so much more. So stay tuned, and let's get the show going. Starting with the first news, we'll be talking about Marvel Avenger and how they have yet to recoup their investments of $100 million. So apparently the game cost $100 million to make, but up till today, 3 months now, 2 months now, they have only made $67 million, and that is about $33 million missing. And according to Square Enix president, his name is Yosuke Matsude, and I quote, "Sales of Marvel Avengers were lower than we had expected and unable to completely offset the payback of the game's development costs." So there are a few speculations of why they have yet to recoup the investments that they've made, and mainly because of the franchising fee they have from Disney. So we talked about this on the podcast, that we suspect that they actually have to pay franchise rights to each of the heroes they used. So we have franchise rights for Thor, for Hulk, for Iron Man, for Miss Marvel, for Black Widow, and you get the gist of it, right? And also mainly, well, I hate to say this, but maybe it's not really that great of a game that they have expected, right? How do you botch a Marvel Avengers game? Very simple. You create a Marvel Avengers game with all the B-list, C-list actors. That's why they have yet to hit the 100 million mark. But then again, this is my speculation and this is what the team talked about. Moving on to the next news, we'll be talking about Red Dead Redemption Online and how Rockstar is basically planning a standalone for the game itself. So for those of you who have played Red Dead Redemption 1, Red Dead Redemption 2, there is both single player aspect and also multiplayer aspect. But this time around, what they're doing is they are moving the online part into a standalone. So for a introductory price of $4.99 USD or 20 ringgit, you can get your hands on the online version of the game itself. However, that will set you off about 126 GBs. You will be basically downloading the whole game but only have access to the multiplayer part of the game. Personally, I don't think I have had a conversation with anyone who actually plays Red Dead Redemption Online. Any one of you here play RDR online? Yeah, I'm getting a lot of head shakes, right? So if you are a fan of Red Dead Redemption Online, please tell me in the comments below, because I don't think I'll ever touch the game anytime soon. When people talk about Red Dead Redemption, it's all about a single player game, not really the multiplayer, because we all know about the hacks, the how broken the servers are, and it's basically an unpolished version of what Red Dead Redemption has. Maybe they can redeem that. Get it? Redemption. Anyways, moving on to the next news, CD Projekt Red has came out for their Q3 2020 financial report, basically telling their investors that the game will come out on December 10th, whether you like it or not, and they so-called promised that there will be no further delays. And we kind of have seen this this week itself, where two guys kind of leaked the game online, and well, I wouldn't call it a leak because it was a really terrible leak. The leak wasn't substantial, it was terrible. You don't see much gameplay, you hear a lot of background noise, you can hear them freaking out. They sound like they're stoned, right? They're just stoned and freaking out. So knowing that the physical copies are actually out in a while, it kind of give us a reassuring feeling that the game will come out on December 10th, because fair enough, I'm super excited for the game. I really want to play the game. We have been waiting for 7 years now, and on the podcast itself, just let me break it down for you what has happened in the past 7 years, okay? So this is what has been out for the past 7 years, and I'm just going to read it word for word. 2 Resident Evil remakes, 2 Last of Us games, 2 Rockstar Open World games, 2 Dark Souls games, 3 Gears of War, 11 Call of Duty, 9 Assassin's Creed, 2 God of War, 3 Miyazaki games, 2 Uncharted games, 2 Devil May Cry, 3 Watch Dogs, and the list goes on and on. Like again, we were saying on the podcast, if you were born on 10th January 2013, you have already learned how to walk, how to crawl, how to talk, how to eat, and you'll probably be in standard 1 right now. So that's how long the game has been announced and out and teased and delayed. So if you are looking forward to playing Cyberpunk as I am, tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you think the game would live up to what it should be? or do you think otherwise? Comments below. Moving on, we know that there's a new Monster Hunter movie coming out, and to celebrate its release in December 25th, the Monster Hunter World game is coming out with a DLC called Monster Hunter Iceborne, and with Iceborne you actually get to play a character called Milla Jovovich. I haven't seen the screenshots itself, so I don't know how she would look like in-game, but this is what the DLC entails. The event itself will feature a two-part event quest featuring Black Diablos and a Greater Rathalos, two monsters featured in the movie. I kind of googled what a Black Diablo is, and it basically tells me that it's a large monster, which doesn't make sense because almost every monster's in Monster Hunter.
Just tap that search chip below.
I think I mentioned Google and my phone just popped. It's funny because my phone is on silent, but that still popped out. Anyways, I googled what a Black Diablo was, and Google told me that Black Diablo is a large monster in Monster Hunter World, which doesn't make sense because almost every monster in Monster Hunter World is a large monster. You also get a special bonus item that will be available. You get Milla Jovovich's character, Captain Artemis, and also a theme content will come to Iceborne on December 4th ahead of its movie premiere on December 25th. So you know how we always say you don't pre-order a game unless the reviews are out? This kind of goes the same way for both PlayStation 5 and Xbox players who have got their hands on the latest next-gen console, because there are reports coming out saying that some users has been experiencing some hardware and also software issues. So I'm going to start with PlayStation 5 first. One of the first issues for PlayStation 5 is the queue for download. So apparently there are players out there who has been downloading their game, but the gameplay is queued at a certain amount of percentage and it just doesn't move. And for you to actually fix that issue, you have to hard reset your entire console, which, well, kind of break the whole immersion of owning a console, right? Because you are downloading a game that you're anticipating to play, but because of this software issue itself, you have to hard reset and re-download all the softwares that you have, basically downloaded prior to this issue. So the second issues that people has been experiencing is also another hardware issue where they're not able to charge their DualSense controller when the console is on sleep mode. So there's another issue that surfaced where people are reporting if you have a physical copy of the game, you do have to download first day patches, and if your console is connected to the internet, that latency might be very slow and your download will result to a snail pace. So one of the biggest issues on the PlayStation 5 is what they're calling the major artifacting issue. This is basically a lot of polygons coming into play, the game's not loading properly, and if you can see it on the clip here, it's basically a whole shenanigans of graphical issues. So there was a clip where someone was playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, and halfway through the gameplay they just received like a full green screen, like you can't see what's going on. There's also one from Astro's Playroom and also one from Assassin's Creed Valhalla where you see polygons and a lot of dead pixels within the game. Sony has said that they will be meeting up with the developers of the game and fixing this issue. No known date of when it will be fixed, but hopefully soon. And moving on to Sony's competitor, the Xbox has been also facing a lot of hardware issues, but this time around is less on the software side but more on the hardware side. So the first issues that a lot of people has been reporting on the Xbox Series X and S is the faulty disk drive, where halfway playing the game they will hear really loud noises. Second issue is a lot of players has also been reporting that the 4K display can become corrupted. What this means is if you're using a HDMI 2.1 to run a game in 4K or 120Hz, a corrupted image notification will be displayed. So it kind of ruins the immersion again for players who have been playing games halfway. So the last issue would be the quick resume issue, where some players have also reported that as they are playing a game, they take a break, they watch YouTube, they grab a meal, and as they resume the game, there are issues where some players just don't get to play the game anymore and maybe have to restart the entire game itself. So you get lost save files, lost time and all this nitty-gritty problems. But on the bright side, both party from the Xbox and also PlayStation 5 has mentioned that they're working with developers and will be fixing the issue indefinitely. How indefinite we don't know, but hopefully soon. So a quick heads up, if you are planning to get both the PlayStation 5 and also the Xbox, just be wary of your decision, because on my end I always wait a couple of days or a couple of months or wait until the next generation of console has been out just to make my purchase, just to be safe, guys. So that's kind of all the interesting news that we actually have found and highlighted on the podcast this week. If you want to find more in-depth conversation of me, Afik here, Jeff here, and Joe here, I have to say, listen to the podcast on the Epic Arcade podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever podcast is casted from. So that's all the time we have for you guys this week. As usual, my name is Kelvin Tay, and behind the camera we have Chief Azrul. Here we have Afik, Jeff, and Joe. And again, that's all the time we have for you guys. I'll see you on the next one.